Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're doing kind of a different fun type of video. Me and another YouTuber, her name is ChanelleMyBelle, we decided to do a eyeshadow category tag that's out right now that seemed really fun. We actually got the idea from Samantha March. Basically, there's a bunch of random questions about which eyeshadow palette is this, which one's your oldest, your newest, most expensive, stuff like that. And we're basically both going to go through our entire collection and pick certain eyeshadow palettes that fit each category. So I'm going to link Chanelle's and Samantha March's YouTube channels down below so you guys can check them out as well. Samantha is a pretty big YouTuber. She does a lot of honest reviews. Chanelle's into beauty and spirituality, and it's really nice to kind of get to know her on that level because while the beauty products can be like really fun to look through, like you also get to know her. She does more like vlog type videos and kind of talks about some other things in her life. So that's really cool, and she's been super nice with me, working with me to put this collab together. Anyways guys, I had to go through like my whole eyeshadow palette collection to decide which palettes qualified for this tag. Before we jump into this tag, I'd appreciate it so much if you guys would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up if this is a style of video that you like. I have the windows open in here and the freaking neighbor's dog is acting demonic. Alright guys, so let's start this tag. So my newest palette that I've added to my collection that I am so super excited about is the Melt Cosmetics Impulsive palette. So this palette is like heavy duty. Whenever I got it in the mail from Sephora, like I picked up the box and I was like, oh, I must have ordered something else besides this eyeshadow palette because this box is like way too heavy. Like this thing is like thick. So I have been wanting to try Melt Cosmetics for a while because I feel like their colors, I feel like you look at a palette from theirs and there's like a vibe. Like it just really well thought out. Like the colors are just so rich and they're so original. Just the look of the palette themselves, like I don't know, they just speak to me. I've really wanted to try it. I've watched reviews by That Girl Shay, and they've just been awesome. So I finally got to get this one. I got it from the Memorial Day sale from Sephora. It was half off. I think I paid like $34 for it. I've already used it this week and I really like it. Okay, so my oldest palette is this little baby palette by Lorac. So back in 2016, I really started caring more about makeup and I stopped using like the same little Maybelline palettes every single day. And I just want to explore more like these like high-end makeup brands. And I didn't make enough money to just like go as crazy as I do now. But my first like high-end palette, and this isn't even like a real palette, I think it was just like a holiday special, but it's the Lorac Soft to Smoky, and it's just a little baby thing here. But like whenever I had this, I felt like so cool. I remember like the first time I wore this was to my husband's company dinner, and they had like a little photo booth and I was like working it and I felt so confident and good about myself. Like it's crazy just like new makeup, just how good it can make you feel, and just, yeah. The most expensive palette, that would be my Natasha Denona palette. It is the Sunset palette. So obviously some very warm toned colors in this palette. So since this category is about the most expensive, this is a $130 palette. Before, Mom, if you're watching, before you start freaking out, this was gifted to me. I never would be able to afford or even want to spend $130 on a palette. But my two BFFs from work for my birthday last year, they surprised me with this bad boy, and I honestly like couldn't believe it. I think they knew that I had a YouTube channel and that just like normally on my own I won't be able to just go right out and buy this. So I think they just wanted to do something super special for me, and it meant so much. And this palette is great, and I'm so glad I have something like bougie in my collection. So this next category is most affordable palette. I decided to kind of group this as a brand. I'm going to do ColourPop. I don't really have, honestly, drugstore brand palettes, and I'm sorry if that makes me like better than drugstore. You guys know what I'm saying. Like it's not that. It just, normally speaking, high-end eyeshadows are more pigmented. They blend better. Like they're just easier to work with. So I have the money, so I do tend to buy more expensive palettes, but ColourPop is the exception to this rule. These palettes are extremely affordable and they are just as good as the high-end brand. So Typically I go towards ColourPop to order from them just because everything's made in the USA, such good quality, just very unique shades in their eyeshadow palettes. The two that I have here are the You Had Me at Hello palette and the Sweet Talk palette. I'm definitely like ready for ColourPop to come out of quarantine because I need them to start making new palettes because they release stuff all the time and I always got so excited about it. And they would have like matching like eyeliners and their glitterly obsessed gels. Like it was like a whole collection and it like got me so hyped up. And yeah, I just love them so much as a company. And I just love their palettes here that I have too. The You Had Me at Hello is probably the more my go-to palette over the Sweet Talk. I just feel like it's a good like everyday palette. I wear it a lot and just always come up with great looks with it. Now, if you guys are regulars to my channel, I think you're probably going to know what my everyday palette is. It is the Laura Lee Nudie Patootie. And you know what? There is not a lot said about this palette in the beauty community. And she released this like over a year ago at this point. So it's kind of old news, but to me, it is just my go-to. It's a nude palette, but it has a lot of yellow undertones. And I freaking love yellow undertones in my nude palettes. And the thing is too, is while it also has like a bunch of everyday kind of looks in it, you also can kind of glam it up that day if you want to because it has like 2 pressed glitters in it. And it's just so easy to work with and the colors blend so well and they just look so good with my complexion. So it's just my fave. Your most colorful palette. Okay guys, so I do have some pretty colorful palettes. Not that I wear them a lot because, you know, it's just something that I wouldn't wear every day, you know, because I have an office job, so it's not like I can just, you know, dress up and go crazy and wear what I want to wear. The only time I would wear crazy colors is for filming with you guys, or if I was going to go to some party, or just like some outdoor festival type deal. Like even when me and my husband like would go out on a date night, I'd wear more of like a smoky look. So the BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival palette is what I'm going to feature for this category. I mean, looking in the camera right now, the shades are freaking gorgeous. Like the colors, oh, it's just, I wish that my channel was successful enough that this could be my full-time job because I would love to create like amazing fun looks every single day for you guys with this palette. My smallest palette is this little baby palette by Touch in Soul called the Killing Me Softly palette. Now, I wish I could say good things about this, but I was drawn to it because of the glittery red shade, but it really isn't that pigmented, and I'm going to be doing a declutter soon, so I'm probably going to say goodbye to my Itsy Bitsy palette. Biggest palette, I'm going to have the same palette as Samantha March did. You can see it in the background here. Actually, it's 2 palettes. It's the Jaclyn Hill Morphe Collab Volume 1 and Volume 2. So yeah, I am a big Jaclyn Hill supporter, so I like to purchase anything that she creates or collabs with. Volume 1 is my favorite. I still really like Volume 2. I tend to not actually purchase palettes this large because I feel like it's a little overwhelming. I like to get palettes that have more of like an overall vibe to them. For instance, the Volume 2 palette, you have like a bunch of reds and cranberries at the bottom. Then you kind of have this gold patch, and then you have some nudes at the top. Like it's just, there's so many different looks you can create with it, which is awesome, but I just tend to like smaller palettes. Is like easier to come up with a look with. Does that make sense? The best memory. So basically the best memory you have with a palette. So I'm going to feature 2 palettes in this because I could not decide which one was more memorable to me. So I have these 2, the Too Faced Bonbon palette and the Anastasia Subculture palette. So the Bonbons palette was my first full-size high-end palette. I know I showed you that little Lorac quad that I got because I was poor, but I remember like I had a yard sale and I was like, I am taking all my earnings and I am buying myself a nice high-end palette. And I did like all this research, like which is the best for my money, because I never spent this type of money on a palette before. So this guy has definitely some use in him because, you know, she was my first palette that was high-end, so I mean that's all I wanted to use and it was my only one. The Subculture is kind of a funny story. So I loved Renaissance so much, and whenever they were going to release Subculture, I was like so hyped up for it to the point like I was at work, I had my door closed to my office, and I was like calling my friend who worked at her other job, and I was like, can you get in? I can't get in to purchase this palette. Is it sold out? We were like calling Anastasia Beverly Hills customer service like to get this palette. Like, I mean, it was an ordeal, and like it was just so funny how hyped up we were about this palette. And this one I did do a review on my channel. I don't know, like it was still kind of earlier on in my makeup days and within the first year of the channel, and it just felt really awesome to get something like right as it released that was super hyped up. Speaking of modern renaissance and being hyped up, yep, you guessed it, modern renaissance is the palette that was worth the hype. So this was gifted to me for Christmas from my sister-in-law, and so this is something I wouldn't have been able to afford on my own again, because this was like during the first week that I started my channel. No, maybe it was the first month, but anyways, like it was just very expensive, and I heard a lot of people talking about it, but I was like, you know what, that's great, but I just can't afford it at this time. So to my surprise, I opened this on Christmas, and it's just so true what people say about this. Like at that point in my life, like I wasn't like amazing at doing eyeshadow. I'm still not amazing, but I mean, I was just not good back then. But somehow, whenever I use these shadows, they made my looks look somewhat professional. Just the colors were just so meant for each other. They blend together so well, like, and even the colors in it, like you think like, oh man, like all these like fuchsias, like dark oranges, like a dark red, like how could I make that look good? Like that's so like outside my comfort zone, but you put these colors together and it just works. So not worth the hype. This is so crazy because this was Samantha March used as her worth the hype palette. It is the Dose of Colors Friendship palette. This was one that I was convinced to get by my friend, and I decided to get it because it was on sale at the time. I'm like, everyone's talking about it, I'm just gonna buy it. Well, I did buy it. And it just is kind of confusing to me that it's just like nude, 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 blue. Like, I don't know how you're even supposed to work those blue shades into the nude shades, but I feel like I came up with a look with this, and I just felt like, nah, it was okay. But it just, like I told you before, I like to look at a palette and just feel like it all seamlessly goes together and just speaks to me. It just, it's more than just like some randomly selected colors. And I just do feel like this palette is really random. Favorite palette by favorite brand. So my favorite brands are ColourPop and Anastasia Beverly Hills. So I'm just going to bring Modern Renaissance back and deem that as my favorite palette by my favorite brand. So the last category, this is one that I just added because I wanted to add my own personal touch to the categories, would be your most glamorous palette. And that is the Barbie palette by Pure Cosmetics. I mean, just the packaging alone is like, wow. And then you open it up and you have all these purples and pinks and gold, the sparkly ivory. Then you have your pressed glitters. I mean, it has it all, and to top it off, it's a great palette. Okay guys, thank you so much for joining this video. Let me know what your thoughts are on my palette selections and if you own any of them as well. Also, don't forget to check out my friend Chanelle's YouTube page. Again, I'll have everything linked down below in the description box. But that's it for today, guys. I hope you have a great evening. I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye!